Let me start with the truth most people don't want to hear. Your life is not controlled by your dreams, it is controlled by your mornings. Show me how you spend the first 30 minutes after you wake up, and I will show you your future. Most people wake up and immediately surrender. They grab their phone, they check messages, they react, they scroll. Before their feet touch the ground, the world has already hijacked their mind. And then they say, I don't know why my life isn't changing. If you win your morning, you win your mind. If you win your mind, you win your life. Here are 3 morning rituals that can permanently shift your direction. The first key point is to win the first battle, to control your mind before the world controls it. Before your eyes even fully open, a quiet war has already begun. It doesn't look dramatic. There are no loud alarms in your head except the one on your phone. But in that soft, fragile space between sleep and waking, your identity is being shaped. A single thought appears, I'm tired. Another follows, not today. And without realizing it, you agree. That agreement seems small, almost harmless. But that is the first surrender. And what most people don't understand is this: the direction of your entire day is often decided in that invisible moment. The person who wins that moment stands up with intention. The person who loses it drifts into the day already defeated. I once knew a man who worked 2 jobs. He was not rich, he was not famous, but he had one rule. The moment his alarm rang, his feet touched the floor. No negotiation, no scrolling, no checking who needed him. For years he did this. When someone asked him why he was so disciplined, he said something simple. If I can't control the first 5 minutes of my day, how will I control anything bigger? That statement carries more wisdom than it appears. Because the first 5 minutes are not about productivity, they are about authority. They decide who is in charge, you or your impulses. Your mind in the morning is like wet cement. Whatever presses into it leaves a mark. If the first thing you press into it is comparison, fear, bad news, unfinished conversations, then that impression hardens throughout the day. But if you press gratitude into it, clarity into it, strength into it, that hardens too. And once it sets, it becomes the ground you walk on for the next 16 hours. You must understand how powerful this is. You would not allow a stranger to walk into your home at sunrise and rearrange your furniture. Yet every morning, many people allow strangers through a screen to rearrange their thoughts, their emotions, their focus. There is a young woman who once told me she hated her job. Every morning she woke up already stressed. She would check emails in bed, see new tasks, and feel pressure before brushing her teeth. Her anxiety was not created at work. It was created in those first 10 minutes. I asked her to try something different for 1 week. No phone for 20 minutes. Instead, sit up. Take 10 slow breaths. Write down one thing she was grateful for and one action she would handle confidently that day. The first few days felt strange, almost uncomfortable, but by the end of the week, she noticed something unexpected. The job had not changed, the workload had not changed, but her posture had changed. Her tone had changed. Her energy had changed. She walked into work as a leader of her emotions instead of a victim of them. You see, the morning is not asking you to be perfect. It is asking you to be deliberate. When you wake up and immediately reach for your phone, you are training your brain to react. You are teaching it that your value comes from responding to others. But when you wake up and pause, even for 3 minutes, you are teaching your brain to respond to you. That pause is powerful. In that pause, you can ask yourself simple but strong questions. Who do I want to be today? What kind of energy will I carry? What will I refuse to let disturb my peace? These are not dramatic questions. but they build quiet strength. Imagine a pilot taking off without checking the direction of the wind. Imagine a captain sailing without adjusting the compass. That is what most mornings look like. People launch into the day without checking their internal direction. They assume they will handle things as they come. But when pressure hits, they react based on whatever mood they woke up with. The disciplined person does something different. Before moving into action, they align their internal compass. They decide their attitude before circumstances test it. And that decision, made in silence, becomes their shield. Control in the morning is not about harshness. It is not about shouting affirmations or forcing fake positivity. It is about awareness. It is about noticing the lazy voice and gently but firmly saying, I hear you, but I choose differently. That choice builds trust within yourself. And self-trust is powerful. When you repeatedly prove to yourself that you can override comfort, your confidence grows quietly. Not loud confidence, not ego, but steady confidence. The kind that does not shake easily when challenges arrive at 10 a.m. or 3 p.m. Because you already practice strength at 6 a.m. Many people wait for life to inspire them. They say, when things improve, I will feel better. But the truth is reversed. When you take control of your mind early, things begin to improve because you see differently. Opportunities appear clearer. Problems feel smaller. Conversations become calmer. All because you won the first battle, the invisible one. And the beauty of this battle, is that no one else needs to know. There is no applause, no recognition, just you, sitting on the edge of your bed, choosing discipline over delay. In that quiet choice, you are not just starting a day, you are shaping a character. The second key point is to build strength before you build success. Most people wake up thinking about results, promotions, money, recognition, growth. But very few wake up thinking about strength, and that is why they feel overwhelmed by the very success they chase. Strength is not loud. It does not show up in your bank account overnight. It shows up in your posture, in your breathing, in how steady your hands are when pressure rises. When you move your body in the morning, you are not just exercising muscles. You are practicing resistance. You are reminding yourself that you can push through discomfort without falling apart. There was a time when a friend of mine felt completely stuck in life. He had ideas, dreams, plans, but he lacked energy. Every evening he promised himself he would change tomorrow. And every morning he woke up heavy, tired, already defeated. One day he made a simple rule. No matter what, he would do 20 minutes of movement before breakfast. Nothing dramatic. Some push-ups, a short run, basic stretching. The first week felt pointless. He didn't look different. His problems didn't disappear. But something subtle shifted. He began to carry himself differently. His voice became firmer. He started finishing tasks he used to delay. The workout was not changing his outer world immediately. It was reorganizing his inner world. Your body and your mind are not separate departments. They are partners. When your body experiences challenge early in the day, your brain records evidence. Evidence that says, I can handle strain. That record becomes a reference point later. When a difficult email arrives or a tense conversation begins, your nervous system remembers the morning effort. It remembers the elevated heartbeat, the controlled breathing, the decision to continue even when stopping would have been easier. And because it remembers, it does not panic as quickly. Physical discipline becomes emotional stability. Think about steel. It becomes strong through heat and pressure, not comfort, not softness. And yet many people expect mental strength without any form of controlled discomfort. They want confidence without ever testing themselves. The morning is your training ground. Not to punish your body, not to chase perfection, but to introduce voluntary difficulty. When you choose a cold shower for 30 seconds, you are not trying to impress anyone. You are telling your mind, I can stay calm in discomfort. When you finish one more repetition than you planned, you are saying, I can go beyond my first limit. I once met an older woman in her late 60s who walked every single morning before sunrise. Rain or shine. She had lost her husband years ago. She lived alone. Someone asked her why she never skipped. She smiled and said, if I can walk through the cold, I can walk through loneliness. That statement carries a deep truth. The physical act was small, but the meaning behind it was powerful. She was not just walking for fitness, she was practicing resilience. Every step was a quiet declaration that she would not let life make her fragile. Strength built in the morning creates a kind of calm authority inside you. You start to feel less reactive, less easily shaken. When someone criticizes you, it doesn't sting as deeply. When plans change suddenly, you adjust instead of collapsing. Because you are not building success on a weak foundation anymore. You are building it on daily proof that you can endure effort. That proof is priceless. It cannot be bought. It cannot be gifted. It must be earned in small, consistent actions. And understand this clearly. Building strength does not require extreme routines. It requires consistency. 10 disciplined push-ups done daily are more powerful than one intense workout done once a month. A short, brisk walk done every morning builds more identity than a random burst of motivation. Identity is shaped by repetition. Each morning you move your body despite excuses, you are casting a vote for a stronger version of yourself. You are slowly shifting how you see yourself. From someone who tries to someone who does. There is something deeply empowering about knowing that before most people even open their eyes, you have already done something difficult. The world may not see it, social media may not applaud it, but you know, and that knowledge changes how you enter meetings, conversations, opportunities. You are no longer seeking strength from outside validation. You have already generated it from within. And when success eventually comes, because effort compounds, it will not feel overwhelming. It will feel manageable. Because you prepared your inner structure before decorating the outside of your life. The third key point is to create before you consume. Before you let the world pour its noise into your head, you must pour something out of your own. Because the moment you wake up and start scrolling, you are stepping into a river that never stops flowing. Opinions, headlines, achievements of strangers, crises from across the planet. All of it rushes toward you before you have even decided who you want to be that day. And slowly, without noticing, your thoughts stop being your own. They become reactions. They become comparisons. They become subtle doubts. But when you choose to create first, even in a small way, you anchor yourself. You say, my voice matters today. Creation does not mean you need to write a bow. Okay at sunrise. It does not mean you need to launch a company before breakfast. It can be as simple as writing one honest page in a notebook, planning your top 3 priorities, sketching an idea, recording a short voice memo about something you want to build. Creation is an act of self-respect. It tells your mind that your ideas deserve attention before the world's ideas do. And that small act builds a quiet confidence that follows you throughout the day. I once met a college student who struggled deeply with comparison. Every morning she opened social media before getting out of bed. She would see classmates announcing internships, travels, achievements. By 8 a.m., she already felt behind. I asked her to try something different for 30 days. Before touching her phone, she would spend 20 minutes working on a small project she cared about, designing simple digital art. At first, it felt insignificant. But within weeks, something changed. She stopped measuring her mornings against other people's highlights. She began measuring them against her own effort. That shift gave her energy instead of draining it. When you consume first, you become a spectator in your own life. You watch others build, speak, share, achieve. And while there is nothing wrong with learning from others, timing matters. If the first act of your day is passive, your brain settles into that posture. It waits, it observes, it reacts. But if the first act of your day is active, your brain wakes up differently. It engages, it solves, it shapes. You move from being influenced to being influential, even if the only person you influence at first is yourself. Think of your mind like a kitchen. If you wake up and allow everyone else to cook inside it, you end up eating whatever they prepare. Sometimes it is inspiring, sometimes it is toxic. But rarely is it intentional for your growth. When you create, first, you choose the ingredients. You decide the flavor of your thoughts. You decide what kind of emotional meal you will carry into the day. That sense of authorship is powerful. It reminds you that you are not just living inside the world's narrative, you are writing your own. There was a man working a corporate job he did not love, but he had a quiet dream of starting a podcast. Every evening, he felt too tired to begin. So he made one small change. Every morning, before checking emails, he spent 15 minutes outlining ideas for future episodes. Just 15 minutes, no pressure, no perfection. Over a year, those minutes turned into dozens of outlines. Eventually, those outlines became recordings. That podcast later opened doors he never expected. But none of it started with a grand leap. It started with choosing creation over consumption in the quiet hours of the morning. The world is designed to pull your attention outward. Notifications are crafted to feel urgent. News is packaged to trigger emotion. Feeds are engineered to keep you watching. If you are not careful, your focus becomes a public property. Anyone can access it, anyone can influence it. But your focus is one of your most valuable assets. When you guard it in the morning and direct it towards something meaningful, you strengthen your ability to think independently. You strengthen your ability to decide instead of drift. And here is something most people overlook. Creating first changes how you consume later. When you have already invested energy into your own work, your mind becomes more selective. You no longer scroll endlessly because you know the value of your time. You no longer get lost in endless opinions because you have already formed your own thoughts. Consumption becomes intentional instead of compulsive. You move through information like a builder gathering materials, not like a wanderer collecting distractions. And that subtle shift, repeated daily, slowly transforms how you see yourself. Not just as someone who absorbs the world, but as someone who contributes to it. When you step back into your life after this moment, nothing around you may look different. The same responsibilities will be waiting, the same people, the same unfinished tasks. But something inside you can be different. And that difference is enough. Your mornings are not just a routine, they are a quiet declaration of who you are becoming. In those early minutes, when no one is watching, you decide whether you will drift or direct, whether you will be pulled or stand firm, whether you will borrow energy from the world or generate your own. You do not need perfect conditions. You do not need endless motivation. You need small, steady decisions made when it would be easier not to make them. To sit up when comfort whispers. To move when laziness suggests delay. To create when distraction invites you in. These are not loud victories, they are private alignments. And private alignments shape public outcomes. Over time, these mornings begin to change how you see yourself. You stop describing yourself as someone who is trying. You begin to recognize yourself as someone who follows through. You stop waiting for confidence to appear. You notice it forming quietly through repeated action. You stop feeling at the mercy of every circumstance. You feel anchored. There will still be difficult days. You will still feel tired sometimes. You will still face uncertainty. But when your foundation is built in the early hours, when your mind has been directed, your body strengthened, your focus protected, challenges no longer define you. They meet a steadier version of you. And that is the real transformation. Not a sudden dramatic shift, not an overnight reinvention, but a gradual strengthening of your inner structure, a deeper sense of ownership over your time, a calmer presence in the face of pressure, a growing trust in yourself. One day, perhaps months from now, you will look back and realize that your life did not change because of one big opportunity. It changed because you changed how you began your days, because you stopped surrendering the first moments, because you chose to lead yourself before leading anything else. So when the next morning arrives, and it will arrive quietly as it always does, remember that it is more than the start of another day. It is another chance to shape the person you are becoming. And that shaping happens in silence, in discipline, in intention. Carry that awareness with you now, not as pressure, not as burden, but as quiet strength.